Hello and welcome to Unexplained Possibilities Podcast. I'm your host, Melvin the Crimson Taurus, and holy cow, do we have a special one for you today. Not only is it Sunday and we're live, but I have a really cool guest. Now, unfortunately, Niema can't be with us because it's
Hello,
daytime
and
and,
welcome
she'll
to
probably
Unexplained
burn to a
Possibilities
crisp in the
Podcast.
sunlight or something
I'm
like
your
that.
host,
So,
Melvin the
the
Crimson
mistress
Taurus,
of the night
and
will be
holy
with
cow,
us
do
another
we
time
have
later
a
this week with
special one for
Bonnie.
you today.
But until
Not only
then,
is it Sunday and we're live,
let's
but
talk to
I have a
someone
really
who
cool guest.
is just
Now,
as
unfortunately,
interesting, if
Niema
not more
can't be
so.
with us because
Now,
it's
unless
daytime
you
and,
guys are
she'll
blind,
probably
which if
burn
you
to
are,
a crisp
sorry,
in the sunlight or
you
something
already
like
know
that.
who
So,
I have
the
on.
mistress of the
And
night
this is a
will
woman
be with
who
us
talks
another
about
time
past
later this week
lives,
with Bonnie.
channels
But
aliens,
until then,
and she's a
let's
Reiki master.
talk to someone
and
who
she's
is
psychic.
just as interesting,
Please
if not
welcome
more
from
so.
Let's Get Friggin
Now,
Weird,
unless you
Cassidy
guys are
Rey.
blind, which if you are,
Hi,
sorry,
hi.
you already know
I imagine
who
like a
I
crowd.
am.
I imagine like a crowd applauding.
And
Well,
this
no,
is a
that's how
woman
you're
who
supposed to
talks
do
about
it.
past
So,
lives, channels
hello,
aliens,
Cassidy. I'm
and
freezing
she's
cold,
a Reiki
and
master.
it's driving me
Oh,
bonkers.
and
Is
she's
it cold where
psychic.
you are?
Please
You're
welcome
already
from
cold?
this time
Well,
Cassidy
okay,
Rey.
so anything below 77, 75 for me is cold. So,
Well, no, that's how you're
Oh my
supposed
gosh, you're hot-blooded.
to. So,
It must be all the dead people.
hello, Cassidy.
there better not be any
Freezing
dead people
cold,
around me.
and
Yeah, I mean, you're talking to me.
is
There.
it cold where you are?
Well, if the stream goes wonky and everything, I'm blaming you.
Well,
Perfect.
okay.
Perfect.
So
That or retrograde.
anything
Or
below
retrograde.
77,
So that
75
works
for me
too.
is cold.
But how are you doing
yes.
today?
I'm doing good. Just lazy Sunday over here.
Yeah,
There
well,
better not be
you
any
could
dead
have
people
that.
around me.
Nothing wrong
I know.
with being lazy. I mean, I don't have a good excuse for
Well,
being
if the
lazy.
stream
though.
goes
I'm just
wonky and everything,
a lazy
I'm
bum.
We don't need one.
Need one. So we're
Just
gonna
a
or
stamp.
retrograde.
jump.
So that works.
I'm so sorry, guys. I
how are you
forgot
doing
to
today?
mute the NDI. Sorry. Oops. It's gonna be a very bad echo. I am so sorry. It's fixed now. I'm sorry. I forgot.
It's me. It's my fault.
No. It was me. I'll take the blame. Sorry. Anyway, hello everyone. Thank you for telling me. Freaking idiot my part. Anyway, oh darn it, that means I'm gonna have to redo the intro for later on. Gosh darn it, more work. Anyway, we're gonna jump into it. So Cassidy, I wanna know, how did you find out that you were psychically attuned?
I found out I was a medium before I ever knew I was a psychic. Probably around like age 4 to 7, it became evident that there was like a spiritual connection or seeing or feeling entities or feeling like that coldness in a room.
Mm-hmm.
That started pretty young. And then I think I was about maybe, 8 or 7 or 8 when my great grandma died. And the day she died, I saw her in my living room after the funeral. And I was like, Mom, why would you tell me it was too late to go say goodbye in the open casket if she's right here? And so that was kind of the journey of the mediumship. And I was terrified of it. I honestly didn't like it. My whole life, I was spooked, absolutely spooked. High school, it got really haunted. College, even more, until my grandma died. And then she showed me like the beautifulness of dead people. But before that, it was like really all scary experiences for me. And so I didn't even know I was a psychic until 2020. Yeah, just like everyone's life flipped upside down. I heard a voice in my head that literally said, "Tell the world you're a medium," and I was like, "Why?" Like I don't practice it. I don't really have a tarot deck. I have nothing, and I did it. And 4 months later, it became my full-time career. And I just realized with that came the psychic abilities. Like the more I tuned into people's energy, the more I found out about love life or finances and career. And if you're cheating on your husband, like I just started knowing things. So yeah, that psychic part came a little later once I was aware of my gifts, I guess.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I remember an interview from um it was on RU Media. I think it was well whatever. That's not important. The point is, I remember it was a psychic who was on there, and he said that sometimes when he touches people or shakes hands or whatever, he'll get visions of things he's not exactly supposed to see. And
Yeah.
so has that ever happened to you? Can that occur?
I try my best not to tune into it without your permission, but like it has happened, like sitting alone in a restaurant and I'm like eavesdropping on a couple or something. Like it has happened of like, oh, I see what they're doing there. Like unintentionally it's happened, but I really try my hardest to block that out to respect people's privacy. Like even if someone comes to me for a reading and they're like, okay, can you tell me this about this person's life? I say no. Like unless that person comes to me, I can only channel what you need to know and what you're allowed to know. So yeah, we can, but we shouldn't.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, morally, you gotta.
Yeah. But if someone comes to me for like advice and I pick up like I can see you're cheating on your husband, like I'll call you out, but sometimes I have to like weasel around it and sometimes I can be really blunt. It
See,
depends the type of person.
you're a bit nicer than me. Every now and then, I'll do some tarot readings, and I'll never forget this. This person was asking, "Hey, can you see if my man is cheating with another woman? I just have that feeling and all that." It's like, oh, I mean, I guess I don't really like stuff like this, but I guess pull out some cards and everything. And it's like, how you get that feeling of, well, someone's messing around, but it doesn't feel like it's them. And
Right.
turns out
You just rat yourself out.
she was the one who was probably feeling guilty because she was messing around. And I think it was one of those things where it's like, I want him to cheat so I have an excuse to run and hide and leave him
Exactly.
or do whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
like,
it's pretty obvious, like the spirit guides or universe needed her to know, like, hey, you're gonna do some digging. We can dig too.
yeah. So it's now one thing that's very interesting. Actually, you know what? Before we get to that, how does your family feel about you being openly psychic, medium, helping people through things, all of that? How do they feel?
Yeah. Well, because the mediumship started so young, that wasn't a shock ever to anybody. My mom also has like a lot of her own paranormal experiences. She's a Pisces, so she's just naturally super in tune
Mm.
and like that mom intuition. So it was always something like we talked about or were aware of in the house. Like it was always Cassidy's room, the lights would flicker, Cassidy's room's haunted. I would tell her the dreams I would have of my grandma or messages that I would get. So that was pretty accepted in my house from a really young age. My dad, he's not so vocal, so he just really never said anything. And then when I came out like publicly, like, hey, this is my job. I mean, I'm just one that like doesn't really care about opinions, and I think they know that, so they don't voice their opinions if they had strong ones. Like you're Taurus, I'm a Virgo. We can really stand up for ourselves if someone tries to disrespect. So when I came out publicly, I didn't like tell them or ask for permission. I just started doing it, and it just became the norm. And I would say now, like my dad's opening his eyes more up to like the mystical world, but he's very like type A, and my mom's super into it. Not like she does any of this stuff herself, doesn't have crystals or tarots, but I do Reiki on her. I've done readings for my sister, but I try to keep it apart because there are some things I found out in a Reiki session that I wasn't supposed to know with my mom. Oops.
Ooh,
She
mom,
was like,
you're a freak.
I was gonna take that to the grave. I was like,
Not anymore.
well, now I know.
Oh, and
So
what
yeah,
happened with
but
the
they're pretty
camera?
cool about it. I don't really care though, to be honest.
Okay.
Like it wouldn't really change it if they weren't.
And I just clicked something wrong with the camera as usual. I messed up. Let me try and fix that. There we go. You guys are
I can take
seeing.
the blame, or the dead people can take the blame, or the retrograde. Either one.
Yeah, you guys are seeing me try to fix things live. So, to be fair, this is my first time using this software. So, there we
It's
go.
more
All right.
authentic. We're not
But
robots.
yeah, so okay, you found out your mom's a freak, so that's always great. And
No, it was actually a great thing to discover. It provided us some healing, some mother-daughter healing. But
okay,
yeah, I tried my best to not do readings for like intimate family because it's a lot.
yeah, no, I get you. I get you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now going to the past lives. Now, I'm always interested in that because no one really knows their past lives. People say, "Oh, I have a memory of this or that." How the heck did you discover you're able to do past life readings?
Like, just kind of as my psychic abilities developed, this took time too. It wasn't till like maybe a year and a half after I started my business. So maybe a year ago, I started seeing past lives. And I fully believe it's because we're not allowed to see things until like we have that healing or capability or spiritual advancement. Like I feel like we kind of unlock levels. Like think of Earth as just like a video game, and I just unlocked a new level. That's kind of how I view it, because I swear to God, I just woke up one day and I started seeing people's past lives, and it started really resonating with people, and I got all the validation, and I was like, oh shit, like I can do this. Like that's weird. It was something I wanted to do, but I never just didn't think, oh, it's not for me. And then it just like literally everything's happened really naturally for me. I can't even explain it. Like I didn't try, I didn't study it, I didn't read a book on it. I just trusted it.
Well, that's the best way for it to happen. So,
Yeah.
I get it. Um,
Yeah, some people say they go to like mediumship school and all this. I'm like, there's a school out there? I just been talking to dead people.
I was just talking.
That would be nice to know years ago.
I love that. And,
Yeah.
just all right. So a lot of times with past lives, people in general, they kind of like to, oh my gosh, what is going on with this thing? This is crazy because your screen keeps messing up and I keep having to fix it. It's going in and out. Ghost,
I
go
got,
away.
I got full bars.
No, no, no. It's not you. It's with the software, which is insane because it shouldn't be doing this. It's driving me bonkers. Anyway, um, with the past lives, a lot of times people they tend to exaggerate or want to be something that they're
Right.
probably not. Everyone says I'm a reincarnation of Cleopatra or I was the king of France or some crazy mess. So
Yeah.
with what you can share, have you ever encountered someone who had a past life where it was like, "Oh, you're actually this"?
Yeah, and because I was very much like you, of like, all right, people, relax. Like you weren't the Virgin Mary, you know what I mean? But like once I connected with a couple clients who were super powerful beings, I was like, oh shit, like it's like something where you can't believe until you experience it, really. But one of mine, this is gonna sound crazy. You're gonna be like, this girl's full of crap. Athena, like god of war, goddess of war,
Huh.
Athena. Like one of my clients is literally Athena. But there's a lot of people out there in the world who claim the same thing, and that's just because we're like a bunch of souls just like burst out into many different souls. So it is possible multiple souls lived as the same person, if that makes sense, but also doesn't make any sense at all. But yeah, I had Athena one time. My sister actually was Martha Carrier, who was a Salem witch, and I was someone who turned her in, which is interesting. Like I wasn't the witch, I was the killer.
You're the snitch.
I was the snitch, straight up, and it shows in our karma. Like it's very, very evident, me and my sister's karma, that we have some healing to do together in this life. So that is another example. Oh man, I mean, I think a lot of times too, people want to be special, but sometimes like when I connect to a past life, and you're just like a guy who lived in the countryside, and like that was your life, and like either you drank and abused your wife, or you had a really beautiful life and that was that. Like sometimes people are expecting like the most, but I'm like, sometimes you just need to know that things were different as they are now, and things will be different in a different life, and sometimes they're really, really bad things, and sometimes it's just good. Sometimes life is easy.
Yeah. I must have been a man whore in the past. So.
Oh my, yeah, my most recent past life. Well, that's also why like I feel like I connect to some pretty powerful people in past lives, because my most recent past life, I was in the same circle as Epstein.
Ooh.
So I've got some karma to fix.
Oh
Yeah.
boy. We
Yeah.
have a couple of questions for it. So yeah, anyone in chat, if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to ask. I will pass them along if I see them and they're not too, weird. So,
Cool.
um, the first question is from Funboy. Evidently, you already left a good impression because he wants to know how do we hire you for a reading? And, well, you could discuss costs behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
uh,
So
I'm sorry. Yeah, you go ahead.
you
Take a
want me to
sip.
go? You want me to go? Or is there
Yes.
more to the question? I
No,
can
no,
go.
no. Go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk. Okay, so I am newly pregnant. For those who don't know, in the chat, and I stopped doing like one-on-one clients for this remainder of like the pregnancy, like come April. So right now, what I do offer is a hypnosis that I recorded, so you can put yourself into a past life regression. So I've had a really cool feedback from clients about that. So, and actually everything's on sale right now for holidays. It's like $25. It's usually 40. So that is like the main way to work with me personally right now. If not, you'd have to wait till after I gave birth, which it's going to be a while. So I would recommend doing that. I'm also doing a Christmas giveaway where I'm giving 3 of those readings, like a full past life reading away, which I'm not offering right now. So if you follow all the rules on my Instagram or TikTok, you can then be eligible to win a past life reading, and that won't be offered, as I said, until after birth. So yeah, everything is under Let's Get Friggin Weird, Cassidy Rey, REY.
All right. And those links are in the description.
Cool. Yeah, go to the description.
All right.
Just everything's on my page.
So Harley, and I don't know if you can actually answer this, but Harley is asking how many past lives do people have?
It varies for every soul. I've connected with some souls where it's their first time on Earth. They lived in different planets. I've connected to people who've been here over 30 million years, coming back and forth with big time gaps in between. But it really just depends, like the development of your soul. Myself personally, I've been coming here quite a long time, and I know I will continue to reincarnate. Like I'm pretty aware that that's a choice I want to keep making. Some people are going to be pretty done with this place, and some people think they're done, and they're not even close. So it just depends. But I would say when I connect to people, pretty normally, like at least 8 is like probably an average, if I had to assume an average.
And Harley, she got a little confused when you were talking about uh, the the splintering of souls, we'll say. So she's basically asking, like, wait, people have multiple souls, and I think it's more so like, how can I put it?
It's hard to explain.
Yeah,
Like we
see
we
yourself
are.
as one being, but being able to split into smaller pieces of yourself to have an experience for learning, or again, maybe you want to be a man whore or something, and eventually passing on and then reconnecting and joining back as that whole being with all this information.
Yeah, like a vision I get is like imagine a star or like a meteor bursts into a million pieces. Like we just become those million
Y-
pieces, and sometimes 2 of those pieces might land in the same area.
Yeah, there we go. So
Kind of like that.
that works. Yeah, but
It's something you can't explain because it's not human.
yeah, it's difficult to understand this stuff. And then, if I really want to mess with people's minds, I say, now, there are multiple dimensions and then split timelines. So there's not
Right.
only more than one of you, but it's several of us that's going through the same exact thing, but yet slightly different. And one of them might be dead here. And if they are, what you might be taking on their memories all of a sudden. And, you know,
Yeah, I had a crazy experience, a trip you could say, or hallucination, where I saw there was 13 Earths. So whether that was dimensions or whatever it was, there was 13 versions of you, and every single one of you was living a different life in the bubble. But like you were you, the same people were in your life, but like one you married that person, one you took that job. So I've seen that in a hallucination, which was pretty cool,
holy cow.
but it
I,
hurts the brain to think about.
a while back, I remember, oh gosh, this is years back actually, before Unexplained started. I was speaking to a good friend of mine who had experiences with ETs, and they told him that it was, at least that they knew of anyway, 13 dimensions. So you saying that is very interesting.
Thank you for saying that, because I've never had anyone validate the number 13 for me. I'm like, why did I see 13? No one ever talks about it. I needed you to say that. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's very
I'm gonna get a
interesting.
TikTok on that. Oh, that's
Now,
good to know. Yeah, I saw 13.
now this is where it gets even more interesting though, because I always see dimensions differently. I see them going side by side, but also like an
Mhm.
elevator up and down. So did you see 13 dimensions side by side, or did you see them going up and down?
I saw like how the planets rotate around the sun type of thing. Like I
Okay.
saw like just a bunch of Earths like circling, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
it wasn't really like paneled, it was more like like actual different Earth balls.
Yeah, you see, now that's going into Sliders territory. I don't know if anyone remembers that show. I'm aging myself now, but that was a great show. Uh, what's his face eventually took over. Oh, oh my gosh, the guy is married. It was his brother. He's married to Rebecca Romaine,
I don't know.
and he hosts Oh, whatever. It doesn't matter. This has nothing to do with the Unexplained. Get back on track, Melvin. So, um, your past life. So, okay, you were a snitch, rat out your sister. So that's
Straight
brilliant.
up.
But have you had another one that has come to you or anything like that?
The one, my most recent one was the one where I was like included in Epstein's circle. I
Epstein.
would have been older than who
And
he is.
yeah,
So.
so that's interesting too. Oh, wow. I guess we shouldn't have said that because you can't see it, but on the OBS software, things went wacky again. It's so weird.
The government doesn't want us talking about it.
That is so odd. I mean, I'm just fixing it every time. It's just weird. Okay, so how does that affect you though? Like in today's life, because knowing your past life, it can have ramifications in the present. So how did that
Yeah.
really, like, did it just cause you to go into a depression? Did you like, oh my God, like, how did that work?
I didn't. I felt from a really young age I had this darkness in me. Like I thought I was haunted because of the medium experiences, and like I thought I felt this evil that like if I wanted to, I could probably make bad choices and be a bad person. Like I always felt I was really capable of that. I never acted on it, but it was something that like kind of haunted me in a way, and so it was really confusing to me my whole life. I was like, why do I feel evil? But like I do really good deeds, and I am a really good person, but I feel like I could go the other way. So like that was always in the back of my head. And then again, when I started this work, I started to see my own past lives. And that's when I was like, oh, okay. So I saw myself that like I committed suicide in that last life. And then I saw the things that I did to other people, and especially like women, like I was an abuser. And so I felt like that made a lot of sense of why I felt that darkness around me my whole life. I also was like born into a family of quote unquote like money. Like I had a good upbringing where I could have gone the whole materialistic Hollywood kind of like fame road, money means everything, and I had a good opportunity to do that, and I chose not to. I moved my life. I live alone in Mexico. Like I live a very simple quote unquote poor life now, but I love it. And so I was given this free will that we are given as humans where, hey, you have this karma you're coming in with. We're going to give you options to repeat the same cycles you just did, or you can go completely different. And so it's been a conscious effort. Like I've had to consciously try to be a good person, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get
That's
you.
just
So
that's just real.
I mean, I'm happy you're not a supervillain.
I mean, I can be a dick. Trust me. Like, no, I've like fought people, and yeah, no, I have my dark sides, but it's really have to be conscious of your karma because it's so obvious that it's trying to repeat.
Mm, mm. And this is something that I know comes up every now and then. I think I already know what you're going to say to this, but do you ever feel the need to prove yourself, or do people come to you and it's like, can you prove this to me? I get why people ask that, but
Yeah.
do you ever feel the need to prove yourself, or do you just say, fall off a cliff, go away?
Yeah. I that's why sometimes I just don't do my mediumship readings anymore, because people really need that solid concrete proof to know that their dead loved one is communicating. When I'm like, the magic truly is everywhere. Like, I'll give you the big example if you need it, but you're just missing every other piece of magic that your loved one's sending you because you're just being stubborn. So I don't do mediumship all the time now because people are the most questioning in that one. And like, I'm not in the business of proving myself. Like, I know what I am. I know my gifts. You fuck with me or you don't. Like, that's just kind of where I stand. So yeah, no, I can be pretty stern. I got a mouth on me. Like, I told you my karma, okay? I'm no angel.
Well, the angels are sometimes boring. Everyone likes a naughty little devil, so
Exactly.
And it's something that's interesting. You study astrology, right?
I don't study it. I just like it.
Oh,
That's
you
the
just
best way
like,
to put
okay.
it.
Well, where the heck? My
Yeah.
notes are wrong. But you know the basics of it. Do you
I know a good amount.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do you
It's a hobby.
incorporate that into your readings at all?
Sometimes I accidentally pick up astrological messages from their spirit guides. So like, I know nothing about what Jupiter is bringing, but I'll be reading someone and I'll be saying, oh, I don't know why, but they're telling me when Jupiter crosses over this axis, I don't study this. I have no idea what that means. Then this is a good opportunity for work. And so I just relay that. And I'll be like, you have to kind of look into that yourself because I have no idea what I just said. But if they tell me to say it, I say it. So that's where that comes in. Like, I just know things that I don't know how I know. And sometimes I'll black out in a session and not remember what I said at all. But yeah, the astrology plays into it for sure. It's all intertwined. I mean,
That's funny you said that. I heard that's actually how you know when you're tapping in, when you don't remember jack squat afterwards. I
yeah,
don't know what I'm saying. I don't remember anything. Yeah.
I know. People will message me like months later, like, hey, did you happen to get anything like this in my reading? And I was like, who are you? Like, at first I have thousands of clients, but second, like, I mean, I just don't remember, because if we did remember, we would go insane. I mean, that's like schizophrenia right there.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that's also a decent way of figuring out if it's something that you are, not you specifically, but if a person is creating on their own versus actually tapping into, I don't know the other terminology for it, but tapping
Yeah.
into whatever it is you tap into. And do you have a way to test yourself to make sure it's not your imagination versus getting that information?
I don't have like a certain way, I guess. I've always just trusted it. It sounds so weird. Like, I know that's not very normal experience for people, but I've always just been like, I mean, the best thing I can do is just tell my human self to like go away. And like, when I do my sessions, that's why I don't do them live like we talk right now, because I think my human self would really take over. Like, I'm alone with my eyes closed, sitting down, like scribbling crazy notes on my notepad, and like, I'm just in the zone. And so I'm like, that's not everyday Cassidy. So I just trust that, you know?
Yeah. Well, no,
Because like, if it's judging, then it's not you. Like, I find out someone's cheating on their husband. Like, human Cassidy has been cheated on many times, and human Cassidy would be triggered by that. But I'm not when I channel those energies for someone.
okay. No, well, that's your way though. You just said it right there. I don't feel anything. I don't get angry, and I'm ready to stab
Yeah,
somebody.
exactly.
So that's
There's so
that's
much compassion and empathy still.
um yeah, and I don't want to be a prick and call certain people out, but there is a couple of people that I've spoken to who claims to be something they're not. And it's interesting because you can see the effort they put in to weave and create the story and everything, and
Yeah.
it's not them feeling it. Usually when you feel something, you blurt mess out. You don't know why you're blurting it out, and it doesn't flow
Yeah.
just so smoothly all the time. You
I
know?
think a good example is that, like, there's obviously so many people on TikTok and stuff who are like, oh, I'm doing a tarot reading for the collective, right? And they'll say something that's probably like really meant to hit someone really meaningful, but then their human self, you can see, immediately stops them and is like, oh, maybe this is offensive to someone, or maybe this isn't meant for someone, and they'll like kind of apologize or like backtrack on their statement. That's how you know, like, you're just not trusting spirit and your human self took over. Like, there's a lot of tarot readers out there who just, they're channeling, they're solid, and then they just So they say something really legit, and then they doubt themselves,
Yeah.
and they go back.
And you can't do it. You have to have confidence in what you're saying. And yeah, you might sound like a wiener, but you gotta say it,
Mhm.
you know. I don't know if Stephanie is still here, but she's very good. She does tarot and witchcraft. She's in the occult and everything. And she's very good at, like, she has no filter. And she would just
Yeah,
and she's it's not coming from a place of I want to hurt you and make you cry or anything. It's coming from a place of I'm trying to inform you. I want to help you. And this
yeah,
is the message we're getting. And I think we just had a dog cameo. I think your dog just walked by. But
yeah,
and that's how it should be. Like, Stephanie is easily one of the nicest people I know. Just she has a mouth, but and
you
but she
sound like
says what
Stephanie.
she has to say.
I
So
think we get along.
yeah, so I get where you're coming from. I totally get it. And
Yeah, you have to just full on believe it, the craziness. Like that's the only way. And that's why I think actually mediumship is the hardest of it all, because you have to believe that like their loved one sends them frogs on a poster. You're like, why the fuck did I just say frogs on a poster? That makes no sense. But then they'll respond and be like, oh my God, they literally drew me a frog on a poster. I'm like, you just have to trust the weirdness, because I mean, or else the human self can't comprehend everything. That's we're not supposed to.
yeah, we're not. And you
Yeah.
have another question here from Harley. And oh, this is a tough one. um, where do spirit guides come from, and can anyone become a spirit guide?
Where do they come from? I mean, I don't know if they have like a base. I think they just like are energy. Um, I think that we're assigned sometimes we're assigned 7, sometimes we're assigned 2. It really depends how developed your soul is. Sometimes you don't get them till later in life. So I don't know if there's even a place they come from. They just, the other side is kind of what I say. But what was the second part of that question?
Can anyone become a spirit guide?
No, that is pretty clear to me. I've connected personally with 2 people who were living here who's been reincarnated many times, who are done with Earth. 2 people did become spirit guides. Other than that, it's not something every soul would choose to do. You'd have to be really, 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 really enlightened to become a spirit guide. Like you'd have to leave this planet, which is the best karma, and also the other side. It's really hard to become a spirit guide, and not many people are allowed to, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well,
No,
I
it's very
reckon
select.
I reckon it's like you said, a lot of experience that you would need. You have to probably be very patient, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, to deal with us down here, holy shit.
uh, Nick has popped in. He has a question for you,
All
and
right.
he wants to know, in your opinion, is there any such thing as a fifth dimensional being? And if so, what does that mean?
I mean, I think yes. I like just kind of how we were talking about dimensions earlier. A fifth dimensional being would be someone who is more enlightened and reaches that point. But that person also can exist in 3D. So I think it's important to know, just because a lot of these spiritual gurus claim like, oh, we're moving into the 5th dimension, or like I am a 5th dimension. It's like, that's great. You can reach that whenever you want. You can go there, but you're still living in this reality, which is where we all are. So yes, that it exists. I don't know. What's your thoughts on all this?
Wait a second. You're not supposed to ask for my thoughts. I'm the host here. What are you
I,
doing?
well, I don't know.
I'm a believer in all of that. It's just I think it becomes greatly exaggerated, and
Yeah.
people claim to be against something that they're not. And
Yeah.
I mean, yes, things are very complex, and we will never truly understand until we fork over. But I also believe that things are more simple than how they appear as well.
Yeah.
Like, we are spiritual beings. We're having a physical life here for whatever reason. And when it comes our time to move on wherever, then yeah, we can see ourselves as going to that higher dimension, but I don't necessarily think that means more intelligence, more enlightenment, because I'm pretty sure there's some doopy moron up there. It's just like, oh, here's Jeff. Here he comes again. So, but I do
How do you
think
get in here?
I do think that it's something to it, but it's over exaggerated.
Yeah, I think like sometimes we're also searching for all this outside stuff when it's like we are right here on Earth right now in the dimension you're sitting in. We might exist in a lot of other dimensions, but right now this is the one you're thinking in and talking in and interacting in. So that's why also being in that present moment is the most important thing for spiritual work, but just everyday life. Like you have to be present. So yeah, fifth dimensional beings exist, but if it doesn't matter to you, let go,
Yeah,
let God. Just go on with your day. Keep
yeah.
on keeping on.
Don't give it too much power when you have your own life to live.
Yeah,
Don't worry
exactly.
about what you can't reach right now because you're not supposed to. You do
Yeah.
you.
And I mean, as a planet too, like we might all hit that 5D, but maybe not for another 2,000 years. Like
Yeah.
you
So,
might be so interested in it because like maybe you'll be reincarnated during that time, but right now,
yeah.
that's what it is.
Okay, so a couple more questions here. Oh, I don't. This is a tough one to answer. I don't know if you can actually answer this, but
Okay.
Harley would like to know, what do you do if you don't want to come back here?
Well, that's not something you can make in this body right now. Like it's not a choice. You can think it right now that like you don't want to. F Earth, I'm out of here. I'm never coming back. Screw all you motherfuckers. Like that's fair. Like I think a lot of people and myself have thought that at many points. But you wouldn't make that choice to come back if you didn't want to when you die.
Yeah,
Your other your not human avatar self calls those shots, and they may very much be wanting to come back, and you're just like not in that mindset. So we don't do anything against our will on the other side.
yeah. And she has a follow up, which again I'm not entirely sure you can answer, but we're gonna try. How
Okay.
long between lives? In other words, if you pass away, how long do you think it would take before you reincarnate, if there is a break time in between?
Depends. Every soul's so different. I've seen 3 years. I've seen 87 years. I've seen 300 years. It really, every single person's going to be different. It just depends what you're agreeing to on the other side and how much work you have to do when you die as well, because the work doesn't stop when we die. We're evolving in different ways.
Okay. And Kelvin, hello, Kelvin. He's busting in with the question as well. I am so happy you guys are asking this. Thank you for being active. Uh,
Woo, we love
yeah, I
interactive.
hope you don't mind, Cass. You're in the hot
No,
seat,
I
not
love
me. So,
it.
but Kelvin, he wants to know, what do you think of, or what do you make of self defecation?
Self-defecation, like putting yourself down.
Yeah, I think more so in self harm, that type of thing, and putting yourself down, not feeling good. Well, we could go back to that actually. Kelvin, can you be more specific with it? Like,
Yeah,
what?
what about it specifically?
Yeah,
I like the question. Just ask specifically what about self-deprecation?
yeah. So, um, now going back to, oh, hello, Noella. Going back to you picking up on things and sometimes not wanting to. How do you
Mhm.
turn it off? What practice do you do to just shut down and take a break? Is it literally just being by yourself, or can you flip an off switch or something?
Something that really helped me in the beginning, and also I go to sometimes now as a reminder, I'll just literally say like, higher self Cassidy, come through, like if I need you to like really go in tune, or I'll say, higher self Cassidy, get the fuck out. Like I'll literally tell her that, I'm like, you need to go away. We're just gonna be human right now and not tune into all that.
Huh.
It's more of just a communication for me to like turn that switch off. It's more of like the psychology behind it.
Okay.
Like
And
or you can imagine like an on-off switch that helps me too.
and I have to apologize. I read the word wrong. I don't know why. I thought it said self defecation, self deification. In other words, turning yourself into a deity or something like that. I'm sorry, guys. I'm blind.
Wait, turn like. Can you explain the definition?
Deification, like, seeing yourself as a god, goddess, uh, you're, you become a deity.
Like
And
as like us right now as humans, and or when we die, is he talking
yeah,
about?
something like that.
I don't get it.
Oh no,
Wait,
we
I'm
broke her.
confused.
We can see
I
the smoke coming out of her ears now. So way to go, guys. We did it. We did the
like what?
impossible.
Like, is the question what if I decided to, or is it when I die?
No,
How does that become?
like what are your thoughts on it? I guess, do you think people can evolve beyond our
Um,
humanity?
oh, like in these human bodies? I think there's probably a lot of truth to it. I think it's possible. I don't know. I immediately just thought of that movie. It's called Split, where he has like a bunch of different personalities. And like the beast is like not human. I think the human body and mind is actually capable of a ton added with the spiritual aspect of it. I know it's an extreme example, that movie, if you haven't seen it. But yeah, I think there's probably truth to that. I don't knock much. I think there's truth to it.
So there you guys go. We're all gonna be gods and goddesses if you so will it. And
Well, or we can have a god complex and then just create our own
yeah,
governmental
that
structure.
too. I know a few people with that, which,
Yeah.
hey, nothing wrong with it. Just
It
trying to
would
be
take a
cool.
special person to really become that, because there's a lot of misuse of power and humans are very easily susceptible to misusing their power.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just
Yeah.
easy. So from all your interactions and experiences, what do you feel the other side actually is? Because, we see so much from religions and, of course, people who claim to peek beyond the veil. And sometimes you
Hmm.
hear it's beautiful and it's peaceful and amazing. And then, you have the more extremes, usually dealing with the Abrahamic group, where it's, if you're not good, it's terrible, it's burning. I saw Satan,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
your experience coming from you, what how do you feel it is? What is the other side for you?
Just from connecting, like, let's say examples, connecting to people who were human and then died. I've connected with souls who, let's say, took their life, were involved in drugs, were not so good people on this planet, and they were a lower vibration when I first connected. But then 6 months later, their family came to me again wanting to talk to their son, and he really evolved as a soul and was like, he felt angelic to me. So I think it goes back to like dimensions and realms where you're still learning on the other side. Just because you died a bad person, like, this is going to be extreme, but like Ted Bundy very much still had a chance to like up level and become a better soul on the other side, and like doesn't get like punished in flames of hell because of the choices in the human body. So for me, the other side is different frequencies, different levels of understanding. Remorse is like not an emotion they feel, but lessons learned. They learn a lot of lessons, and if they learn them in a good time, you can actually feel the physical shift. So, like I said, that soul 6 months later was a completely different person. I was like, "Who? You're not the same person I connected to." And they're like, "I've learned so much, and my family healed a lot on Earth." So our healing, grieving a loved one, plays a big role in how they're able to higher up on the other side. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Just
all
let me
good.
get my computer.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because, like, I've always felt that we create our own heaven or afterlife or whatever. If you're miserable in life and you're unable to let that go, then, you could be miserable in death. And I
Yeah.
think a big part of death, and this is kind of going into a tarot, it's not necessarily the act of dying itself, but being able to let go and see that something has come to an end. And ends aren't always bad things. It is so you can
Yeah.
evolve and let go, move on. Don't take this with you. So,
Yeah. I
so
think it's just important that the souls don't get stuck. I think like purgatory in the Bible might be a good example of that, like heaven, hell, purgatory. I think purgatory is just like that in between of like okay, I'm not sure if I'm ready to learn my lessons that happened on Earth. Like, if you were a really bad person, sometimes you just don't want to accept that yet on the other side. And that takes maybe years to just finally come around to and forgive yourself. Because you might see a lot of people that you hurt on Earth still hurting. And that is a really hard thing for a soul to accept.
Yeah. Now,
But yeah, I think as far as like seeing, like on the other side, like my grandma saw a beach, but like other people have seen grass. I think that is your own, whatever you want
what
it to
have
be.
you seen, if anything?
I actually had a near-death experience when I was 1.5. I had open heart surgery. I saw like a tunnel of white light and then like spirit guides and like the white cloaks, and like a golden arch. It was just very bright, like someone shines a really bright light in your face.
Oh, snap.
I died for 2 minutes. I was not, what's the word? I don't know. Like I didn't have a heartbeat for 2 minutes, so
Yeah.
that was my experience. And I remembered it really young. I used to write about it as a kid in school, and I was 1.5 when it happened. So that was my vision.
That's interesting. Well, same friend who was involved with aliens, he had a near-death experience. Very trippy story. One day I have to share this story, but he was in a bad car accident. Drunk driver hit him, and he was pretty much dead for a while. And then they got him back, went into a coma. But he said that he remembers seeing people in white, and he
Mm-hmm.
could have sworn he saw Saint Peter. He doesn't know, but he could have sworn. And this is funny because I think almost everyone who has a near death experience says the same thing. He said he did not want to come back here, and
Yeah.
they were like, "No, you got to go. You're not supposed to
They
be
like
here."
shove you out. Like it's very true when you
Get-
have near-death experiences.
yeah, getting kicked out of the club, man. What kind of
Yeah.
mess?
Even sorry. Is there more? Sorry.
No, no, no.
No, even last year I had an experience where I was close and they literally shoved me out a door and they closed it and said nope. And I was like, oh, come on.
Just let me get a peek.
If you look at my track record, I've been trying to die since I was a kid. I was 1.5 open heart surgery. I'm born with a hole in my heart. I'm like, just get me out of here.
Jeez. But look at you now. So
I know.
it's interesting to think about.
Yeah.
And another question for you. Wait. Oh, did I scroll past it? What the heck, Melvin? Here we go. Oh no, that's not it. Oh, here it is. Sorry. Uh, what about people with cognitive birth defects or are insane while on Earth? So this is going back to when we were talking about people on the other side who might have done bad or something like that, and how they feel, or you know, can they create their heaven, or blah blah blah.
Yeah. But they're saying birth defects though?
Yeah, cognitive birth defects. So I think
Like
she
if you're
means,
born blind or born with like I don't know, paralyzed, like stuff like that.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I've connected with a client who was deaf actually, and it was really cool to do her reading. I did a past life reading. She did have trauma like in her ears in a past life, but she wasn't deaf. That's not the reason she was deaf. But her spirit guides actually told me was her soul was at like a different level of evolvement where she didn't need all of her human senses because she was kind of meant to do other things in this lifetime on Earth. So sometimes we are born with physical defects because we're meant to, you know, maybe bring our voice out in a different way in the world. Maybe we just don't need that sense because our soul is really evolved. That's like, it's not necessary to have all of our limbs, things like that. But when they talk about the part that like going insane, I think for my own experience, because I hear voices in my head and have from a very young age, I would be clinically insane to a doctor. Like I think I should be medicated, schizophrenic, you name it. But to me, it comes down to controlling it and not holding on to it. So that's why I don't remember what I channel for every client. But if I did remember, that would be a bad thing, and I would go clinically insane. And knock on wood, but like it's possible I could become insane next year, or a car accident happens and I can't turn that switch off anymore. So
Okay. And Harley clarified she meant mental, not physical, but you pretty much covered
okay.
that. So you're
Yeah,
good.
yeah, kind of same thing, honestly. Down syndrome as well. I've worked with a lot of Down syndrome clients, and my uncle, who is very close to, and I've just always wanted to adopt a Down syndrome child as well. And I think that we just all have different gifts, and I think if you know anyone with Down syndrome, you know that they're like the nicest humans alive. So it just depends what you came here to do on this silly little planet.
Yeah, the planet I like to call a blueberry. Um,
Yeah.
so that's interesting, and I didn't realize that people might be born with certain defects to teach them a lesson or for a reason, gathering information, whatever. Do you think we
Yeah.
choose the way we're born, or it's just luck of the draw?
I think if it's something you're born with there because it's so close to the other side from birth to the other side, I think that you probably have a good say in what the defect is. But when it comes to like maybe a car accident that happens later on in life and then you get a defect, I think that you know, like you have an awareness there will be something that alters your life, but you don't know what it is. There, I think it's different for everyone. Some people probably are allowed to know exactly, and some people aren't.
Yeah, well, it's not like you're gonna remember when you're born anyway. So,
Yeah. But like you could become like, you know, a reader or someone like me where you start unlocking those gifts and you start seeing the visions and then you're like, oh shit, is this gonna happen? So, but not everyone's allowed to know.
yeah, I would rather not know because I think I would get heated and ready to punch somebody. It's like I chose this life. What?
You punch yourself.
Yeah. So, and I don't need to do that. Been there, done that. I don't need to do that. Uh, just out of my own curiosity, are you able to see auras by chance?
Yeah, I see them quite often on people. I also like put auras on people sometimes to protect them, especially the babies in public or airports. I'll like throw kind of an aura shield on them, but you can see sometimes a color around a person depending what they're going through. They're
Hmm.
depressed or really happy, or maybe they have something they're scared of. But yeah, it's pretty easy to see.
Now that's interesting. Uh, another psychic who I had on a while back now, Ethereal Jack. She's really cool. She teaches people how to see auras, and I remember one thing she said was kind of this weird trick with your eyes, like just staring at a white piece of paper with your hand in front of it, or just staring at someone and just
Mhm.
kind of zoning out, and you'll start. It's like
Yeah.
putting a filter on or taking it off or something. It was
I
weird.
used to do that as a kid. I don't know if you can relate to this. I used to sit in my bed as a kid and stare at the wall until everything around me just canceled out and it was only me and that. And it would turn into like space or these auras. Like it wasn't my wall anymore and everything else around me would disappear. But I think it's probably similar to that where you just like really intensely focus on it and then you can
Yeah,
see all sorts of magical
that'll
things.
make me pass out. Now I'm going
Yeah.
to
The more I
assume.
look back, I think I was a weird kid.
Well, it, just go with it. The weird people are the fun people. So
I mean, my business is called Let's Get Friggin' Weird for a reason.
yeah. So I'm assuming that the auras also work well when you're doing Reiki and
Yeah.
you're doing Reiki healing and all that. What is Reiki? I always hear Reiki and go get
I
Reiki
think,
cleanse. What
yeah,
is it?
I think I do it very differently than probably traditional, but it's an old, oh, God, I keep hitting this. It's an old practice where you go through the chakras and you kind of energetically clear things out. For me, I can see an aura through what chakra is really being blocked or what like is being overused. So like if you have a lot of throat chakra issues, then I'll just see a ton of blue around you. And then during Reiki, I would like energetically like move my hands, but also like place my hands on your chest and try to even out that color until it's a really translucent, beautiful blue. Because if it's like a bright, intense blue, it's too open, or if it's a really dark blue, it's too closed. So that's how I use my visions in Reiki. Like you're literally laying down on a table blindfolded and putting my hands on every chakra, just clearing energy. So I don't know. I think traditionally it's probably different than what I do. I just started kind of doing what felt good for me. Called it Reiki.
Well, hey, whatever works.
Yeah.
This is a real stupid question, but I just have to get this cleared. But they're clothed, right? If you're doing that,
Yeah, I
okay.
know. Yeah.
I
You and because I've been like, when I was like dating someone, I told them what I do. They're like, "You do that to like men?" I'm like, "It's professional."
you just never know. Sometimes, you touch
I
someone in the
feel
right
like,
spot and everything. So I just wanted to be sure. I was just curious. I don't know how it's
no,
done,
I
darn
mean,
it.
you're not. It's crossed my mind. I'm like, oh gosh, I haven't had many male clients, but yeah, for myself, I'm like, I wonder if they think that this is different than what it is.
So sometimes you wonder. But so do you ever look in the mirror and see your own aura and what might be blocked, what you need to work on?
Yeah, I try to check in with myself pretty often and do my own meditations. I'll mainly like lay down and tune into my own body, and I'll see it in my head versus like looking in a mirror. I see a lot of things by closing my eyes. That helps me better. Like the whole outside world.
Yeah, well,
I
it's
like it better here.
no, it's something to that because sometimes you need silence to focus and get in the zone, see what you truly need to see, or even
Yeah,
hear what you need to hear. And so, yeah, just shutting everything out can work. Or sometimes
I think that everyone
people,
should.
and sometimes people though they need one thing of noise to focus on.
Yeah.
But it's interesting you mentioned blockage. I was speaking to Curtis Joseph. You wouldn't know him, but I was speaking to him the other day, and he mentioned blockage. And recently, I've been feeling really blocked. My cat passed away unexpectedly,
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
it just gutted me hard. And I lost motivation for everything, and I started to feel blocked. Like I just can't. And I was speaking to him yesterday, and he mentioned flexibility exercises to help get rid of blockage. So like yoga and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. So what do you feel about that? What do you feel about
Yeah.
physical exercises to help you spiritually?
Yeah, I think, well, even as far as like certain stretches are better for certain chakras. Like in general, for you right now, you should focus on your solar plexus chakra because actually in this whole session, I've had this little turtle on my stomach because I've had a stomach ache as I've been channeling or been talking to you.
Uh-uh.
And now that you mentioned that you're kind of feeling blocked, I think it's your solar plexus chakra. So there are different positions or poses or stretches that can release that certain stomach region. I think that there's different exercises breathing wise, different meditations for each chakra. Like people think they can cover meditation and like cover everything. Like sometimes you really have to get specific, like put on solar plexus chakra music and meditate specifically just on your stomach. And that might open up a lot more, and then go do a stretch or go for a walk, but focus on that chakra. Visualization is very powerful for us and we need to use it more, I think.
Oh, looks like I got homework. Darn it.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, I'm sorry, Melvin, but you better do this now.
No, the stomach it's easy. It's the sun center. So just imagine a sun in your stomach, but you got to get it to a perfect yellow sun.
Perfect yellow sun. I
It's
will
dark.
try
It's
that.
a little dim right
Yeah,
now. And I'm sorry about your cat.
it's okay. I
Fur
mean,
babies are the best.
yeah, it was very unexpected, but
No, I
we're
know. I
dealing
can't
with it.
imagine.
And there we go. Things messing up yet again. Huh.
Maybe it's your cat just like energetically scratching all the wires on the
She's
other
a heifer
side.
like that, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Okay, so um, with oh my god, I'm sorry, I'm trying to fix this
You're good.
screen. There we go. You can't see it, but I can. They can. It's driving me bonkers. And there we go. Fixed. So with Reiki, like, do you ever take on the other person's energy that you're trying to clear, or it just disperse out? What happens to that energy?
Yeah. I would say. Wait, can you hear me? Because it froze. Oh, there we
I
go.
can hear you.
I would say, unfortunately, I do take it on more times than I would like to. I do my best to clear it after the session, but yeah, I think I pull a lot of that energy and I pull it into me, and then that person feels like $1,000,000 and I feel like $0. So yeah, I think it depends what kind of protection and releasing I'm doing after my own sessions. I could get into a funk. I could become depressed for a couple days after if I work with someone who was carrying a lot of that. So I have to be really on top of it because I am such a sponge to things like that. But then I use visualization when I'm doing the Reiki so it doesn't stick to me. I imagine it going into the ground as soil and being like rebirthed into a flower. So it's like that negative energy is turning into something good. It's just recycling, but we don't have to like get rid of it, but we just need to have new fresh energy.
And that's good. I
Change the
like
water
that.
bowl. Yeah.
I really like that. That's cool. That's how I'm going to start to think about it. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. The visualization, it really helps me personally. Like I have to imagine it or I just can't see it.
Now, here's one visualization I bet you never thought you would see or do or have it come to you. Speaking with freaking aliens. What the heck?
No, I mean, yeah. No, I don't let nothing surprises me anymore.
So, yeah, we're jumping into the alien stuff, guys. I know everyone loves that, but before contact or whatever, were you a believer?
I've always just loved everything weird. So yeah, I would say for sure I think you have to be really close-minded to think there's nothing out there. So yeah, I've been super curious about it my whole life. Never went down the conspiracy hole. Never I've just never been that person like read into things. Everything's just kind of come to me. And so yeah, I just always was open to everything. And I started communicating a lot with like Andromeda and Pleiadians, and then I started connecting that for my clients' past lives or where they come from or their missions. Like back in 2021, I was getting a lot of intense messages about like the government. I was astral traveling to like Putin and all these like really insane political leaders, and like then I was getting alien messages. I couldn't control it all. They just kind of take me and use me as their messenger, to be honest.
Oh God, you're just well, fine. I'm just here, so all right. Open the cell phone.
I'm so chill about it. I swear. Like, I think it's good that I don't really look into it that much. I'm like, yeah, they told me this. Like, that's that. Move on with your day.
Yeah, real quick, Roger Hansen, he's asking something. I'm. He says, I think I have an attachment. Can you ask her how to get rid of a negative energy being? Um,
Yeah.
I mean, if you want Roger, because that's sort of a private thing, and I have the contact information for Cassidy. If you want, you can reach out that way so you could talk about it in private, or if you're okay with Cassidy speaking about it, and if she's okay with it, she can tell you real quick or something.
I think for Roger specifically, what I see would be good for you is actually a shower visualization. Go take a shower and imagine that entity actually going down the drain. Like as you're putting your shampoo on, like imagine you kind of adding on something really healing and protective. And then when you wash it, go down the drain, just imagine those entities going down. You might have to do this a couple times a week, but that could be a good practice.
Would a salt bath also help?
Yeah, I think everyone's gonna find something that works differently for them. The shower visualization, it's really helpful. You can even light incense or play meditation music while you're doing it, but the important part is to really focus on the visualized part.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Cassidy. So I didn't know if it was too private or not, but
No problem.
all right. So back to the alien thing. So how did contact first happen for you?
I don't even know. I don't know the first, but I think the most memorable was probably a week before the Travis Scott concert when a lot of people died. They came to me and like showed me flames and people dying, and I was really, they took me like in my sleep. Like I woke up and remembered this sort of dream, quote unquote. When I communicate with aliens, a lot of the times it has to be in my dream state because it's a whole different realm that you're talking to. It's not just your grandpa that died. It's really intense. So they showed me that, and they also showed me like a lot more destruction and events like that to occur on Earth, where like people are pitting against each other, killing one another. And I think we're obviously seeing that live right now in the Middle East. And so that was like really intense for me. And they also like killed the alien in my vision. Like the people, us, killed the alien in my vision. And I was like really distraught and like sad for them. But they told me like, don't worry, we've come here to sign up for this. Like we know how we'll die. It's okay how we die, but like we're trying our best to like get people to do better. But humans pit against each other and kill one another, and like that's something we need to ultimately change. And a lot of my alien messages are around how bad we're doing as humans, to be honest, like as a collective. Like they're really disappointed in us. Like I have to be blunt. Like there's nothing to be like cheerful about. When they come to me, I'm like, fuck, they mean business. Like it means we're doing some wrong shit.
Yeah,
Which I think it's very obvious we are.
yeah, I heard that. Well, it's a couple of different little things, conspiracies here and there, but I heard that the Earth has been literally reset, we'll say, and reseeded several times over, and it will happen again if things don't necessarily
Yeah.
get better. And then I heard, I don't know if you're familiar with the Zeta Grays. It's so much with them.
I'm
So,
familiar with the grades, yeah.
well, you
I've heard
have
of it.
like the Orion Grays, Zeta Grays, tall
Right.
whites,
Okay.
all that mess, the blues, it's just whatever. Anyway, with the Zeta Grays, I heard two stories with them. One, they're from Zeta Reticuli, and then the other and more interesting one is that they're actually us from the future, and something happened that caused an evolutionary change in our genetic makeup, and they have come back to the past to sort of get us on the right track, but if it doesn't happen, they're just gonna wipe us out. So it's like, why does this
That
always
actually
end
doesn't
badly?
sound. That doesn't sound that unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, I think also, yeah, I think there's a negative connotation around grays in general, but I've connected with plenty of really good grays. I didn't know there was all these different types. Like I said, like I don't read any books or look into any conspiracies on this because I don't want to put my own bias on things. Like if they tell me things, they come to me, I just take exactly what they say and tell the world. But like I think if I read too much on it, then I might start putting my own human opinion on it. But yeah, there's a lot of great grays that are doing good things. I think people just like to hop on board and like hate one thing.
Yeah,
But
well,
yeah.
a lot of it has to do with, well, number one, how they look. Like
Yeah, exactly.
that's the first thing, and
I don't know why like reptilians are the easiest to see. Like
yeah,
just turn on the news. You can literally see. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. If you want to look at like looks of people, the Kardashian family, they literally look like reptiles. I mean, you can tell when people are reptilian. It's kind of obvious. I mean, at least to me now, but
yeah.
yeah.
I can't say I'm a big fan of the Kardashians.
Yeah, no, I don't really see their purpose.
Yeah, so they could fall off a cliff too. But anyway, I hope that's not a threat. Oh gosh, now that I think about
No, it's okay. We're allowed to say bad things. Just don't act on them.
yeah, don't. Well, yeah, I'm not throwing them off the cliff, but if they so happen to slip and fall off, well, I won't be the first to help them.
As you said that, I swear my candle just fell off the thing like it jumped off the cliff. Oh, that was great.
Yeah, something agrees with me.
Yeah, they agree with us.
Now, the Andromedans are very interesting to because for the longest time, I'm always iffy on that. Although it is kind of interesting because the Andromeda Galaxy, it is our closest neighbor.
It's close,
And
really close.
we're actually going to crash into one another, so that's going to be fun. But so Andromedans are legit. They're
I
real.
love their energy. They're like, to me, they're like the go green, save the earth kind of aliens. Like that's the energy I get from Andromeda. They're really trying to help us, like more than any of the other ones, because I think they're so close they can. But yeah, I've had great experiences with them, and they've physically shown me like coming here with ships to help. So like they're more hands on, I think, than other ones.
Okay. And do they look humanish or something else completely different?
Not in my visions, they don't look humanish. They look pretty alienish.
Okay.
Pleiadians look pretty human when I connect.
Yeah, that makes sense because I've heard that Pleiadians are humanoid looking, almost like elves. And
Yeah.
now this is what's even crazier: the fact that you're able to connect with them like that, something that's outside of a gray, we'll say, because in the Americas, like for whatever reason, we have the most visitations of grays and reptilians,
Mhm.
Pleiadians and Lyrans and all the Ians. They tend to be elsewhere. They don't come to the Americas for
Oh,
some reason. Like,
that's interesting.
so the fact that anything outside of the grays or reptilians and all that will come to you, that's pretty amazing. You know,
That's
that's
pretty cool, actually.
yeah.
I never really thought about like where on the map they show me, but oftentimes, for me personally, Andromeda are a lot in the U.S. from
Okay,
what I've
that's so
connected to.
interesting.
Same with Orion's, like from Orion's belt,
Hmm.
a lot of people that I've connected with, at least clients who are living in the U.S. But yeah, no, that's interesting because you think about like, oh, like where are the sightings in the Middle East versus like Texas? There's a
Yeah,
ton.
no, like seriously,
Yeah,
it really is
I never thought
something
about
to look into. I think it's
that. Yeah, that's
really
cool.
fascinating. Peter Maxwell Slattery, he he is someone who talks about his experiences with extraterrestrials and all that, and he's in Australia, and he talked about meeting an alien that called himself the Pooh Man. I don't know why, and it looked like ET.
So he looked super alien.
Yeah, so that's the type where you would you know.
Yeah, I haven't actually connected with one that looked more like ET. Like I've seen the big head, big brain
Mhm.
type of thing, but ET itself, I actually was terrified of ET as a
Oh my
kid too. I
god, you
wonder if
sound
that
like
has.
Bonnie.
Also, when you say the name Bonnie, I love it because I think of Vampire Diaries, the witch, and I'm
Yeah,
Team
no,
Bonnie for
Bonnie,
life.
she's another part of Unexplained, and she's a psychic and occultist and everything. You guys would get along if you could get
Yeah.
through that Texas accent of her. I'm from Texas. How I do it. Down here, we ain't afraid of no Zozo, no aliens. Shoot 'em up, bang, bang, you know.
It's funny because I just said Texas too. I'm like,
Yeah,
in Texas,
yeah, so,
there's Bonnie's presence.
but yeah, I love Bonnie. She's really nice. You guys would get along. Um,
That's awesome.
but yeah, so interesting. You got some stuff happening. So, do you feel that you yourself can contact them at any time, or it's strictly they come to you? You don't go to them. We come to you.
No, I can contact them pretty spot on. It's just a matter of like I don't always most time don't feel drawn to it because it would be for bigger type missions. Like it would be for bigger messages that I need to receive for the collective, maybe governmental things, political structures. That's when I would feel called to do it. And yeah, I just listen like if I'm called to do it or not called to do it. And more often than not, it's been not very often where I'm like, okay, let me talk to the aliens because I mean, the way I think about it is like they're busy. Like that's like kind of why we're given our spirit guides. Like we're given that team that can be there whenever we need. And also there's things you just don't have to tune into all the time until it's time. So a big part of the reason I just wait for them to come to me is because I trust that they know when the time is right. But when they come to you with a message, you better get that shit out quick because if you wait even 72 hours, it's too late.
Mm,
That's what I learned. Like when they came to me before the Travis Scott concert, like I had a lot of guilt and grief for not putting the message. I don't know if I could have done anything, but I saw so much destruction and killing and flames and people dying just a couple days before that. Like I don't know, I blamed myself in a way, and so I learned from them. Like if we tell you a message, put it out there right away.
okay.
Like I'm talking like same day
All right. So,
because it's like something people need to hear.
we are in our closing. We're gonna head off to our end soon. But there are a couple more questions for you before we get there. And Nick would like to know if you have any insights on troll myths, or some might call Yeti or Sasquatch. Basically, what's your take on cryptids?
Oh, I love it all. I believe in it all. Like, I haven't personally like dug into it or connected with it so much myself. I don't think it's been like my calling, but I 100% believe in all of it. Like, when it comes down to unicorn, sirens, fairies, everything, I mean, I cancel nothing. Like, to me, everything exists. It came from somewhere.
Okay. And
Yeah. If it's your calling, like, keep going down that rabbit hole. That's cool.
and Noella would like to know, do you get drained when you receive or communicate with extraterrestrials?
Yeah, I would say their energy is a lot different than connecting with a loved one who passed over or something. It depends the message. I usually get drained because I see a lot of brutal violence. Like, they usually show me people dying. Like, it's not pretty visions they show me.
Yeah.
So it mainly mentally drains me because I'm like, shit, I mean, something bad's about to happen in the world, or a natural disaster or whatever. So yeah, it can be more like just sad for my human self to have to realize that bad things happen.
Oh, that's a bummer. All right. Listen up,
Let's
extraterrestrial
end on that
people.
note.
Yeah, no, we're gonna fix this. Send her some images of a unicorn or something, please. Something happy. Let's stop the doom and gloom for a little bit.
It's
All
just
right.
reality, baby.
All right. And finally, and I always like asking this, but what advice can you give to someone who is experiencing a psychic awakening? We'll say, and they're scared to death and they're unsure of what's going on, how to handle it. What advice can you give them?
I'd say trust that there's good spirits and you have a good spirit team that you were given. If it feels like negative and scary to you, I think you need to find that light, or that entity that feels like light, whether it's a grandma that passed over and you want to call on them for protection, or you want to call it God or Jesus or Archangel Michael. Find the one thing that feels really protective spiritually so that you can like call on them. And I think that shield helps you then say, okay, I can dive into this, and then the rest is just going to be trusting. Like, you cannot give a shit about what other people think about it. You can't, or else you're never going to fully tune in. So just really going gung-ho. Like, don't give a fuck, just do it.
That's how it's done.
It's your mission.
Okay, so do you have anything upcoming, or you're just, nope, pregnancy only, I'm done with everything?
No, I mean, I would love to still make money, so please support me. I am, that hypnosis that I'm offering is the main thing that I have going on right now. And I released a virtual oracle deck as well that you can like journal on and meditate. So those are my two main things that I would love to promote and sell.
Yeah, okay.
Please, I'm a single mother. Help me.
And you can go to your website for that, right?
Yeah, the website has everything. And I have sales and Christmas giveaways right now.
So you guys be sure to go to look in I can't speak. Look in the description below. Click on the links to Cassidy. They're all there to find her. Say hello. Unexplained sent you. Get your hypnosis. Check out the oracle cards. All that good stuff. And while you're in the description, be sure to check out Unexplained Possibilities on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, and Instagram. Cassidy, thank you so much for coming on. And chat, thank you guys for being here, asking all these cool questions. And
thanks, everyone.
With that said, remember, guys, there are things that go bump in the night. Go ahead and tell them hi. Bye, everybody.
Bye.